name is Tanzin Namgyal. I'm from Zangla. I'm kind of following the lineage of the Zangla dynasty, so I'm from the same lineage from King, Songsan Gampo. We are the lineage. It's called the lineage of King Songsan Gampo, Lang Dalma, and all. So the history of Zangla dynasty starts like Skilding Imogon, the first, the direct descendant of Songsan Gampo, came to Ladakh with his 3 sons. Spalgigon, the eldest brother, got Lay. Tashisgon, the middle brother, got Guge, and the youngest son, the Letsugon, he came to Zanskar and started the Zanskar dynasty. And Letsugon had 2 sons, prince. One was called Mangalde. Mangalde was given Zangla, and Zomtalde, the other brother, was given Padum to rule over. So this whole dynasty was divided between the 2 brothers. So we are from the Zangla dynasty. We follow. That's why every male member of the family has De at their end because of the Letsugon, the first king of Zanskar. So if I say my full name would be Stanzil Dazan Namgyal De, which shows like we are lineage of the king Letsugon. So this palace where we are staying, it was built in the end of 11th century. So before, there's a very interesting story about this palace. It says in the scripts, it says this whole valley, the Zangla valley, was in a shape of like a snake. And on that one, the mountain which is in the shape of the Garuda, so the Garuda is holding the snake on top of it, and above the Garuda is the palace was built, and above the palace the king was there, and above the king we have like a protector which we call like a Gepopekar. He is like protecting the whole thing. So there's a kind of like a story which has been like either you call like a mythology or anything, but it has been like written sources can be found on these things as well, the Garuda, Kyungri and everything. And the other thing is we have this whole Zangla village was surrounding the palace. There was nothing like a fortification around the palace. The houses were built in a manner which acts like a boundary, like a wall to the palace. And there were only 2 ways. The one way is like from where we came up, it's like a walking, and the other one is like at the backside, which was used to bring water at that time. So at that time there used to be like a drinking water, spring water down, and it's said like one of the princes washed a cradle which we call like a chau, and the water, the spring water in Buddhism is something very auspicious, and it got contaminated somehow and it stopped coming, and that's why we have another palace down. And at that time the king decided okay, we don't have a drinking water here, we have the drinking water very far from the this from this palace. And then the king decided okay, let's all shift the palace down. So in 16th century they shifted the whole palace down, so they built another palace down in the village. And that's how the whole village at that time there were not too much wood, so the villagers, what they did is they took all their woods and windows and doors and to build a new house down there, but they kept the palace intact up here. So that's how this palace is still surviving. And it's because one of the Choma, one of the Hungarian scholar, Alexander Choma Dikoros from Hungary, he came up here in 1823. He stayed up here, he studied Tibetan, and then he went to Puktal, he went to Laol Spiti and Kolkata. He compiled an English Tibetan dictionary, and he was the first. That's why we have a lot of Tibetologists from Europe as well. And they started restoring the palace in 2008. So that's how this palace is a bit surviving. But for me, I remember when I was child coming up here, even the roofs has a big hole. So I think not an elderly person could come up here. The kids can jump and hold and climb, and we used to come and light this candle from in the childhood as well. Now also we as a family I'm coming up here when I'm here to light up the candles and everything up here, because we have this sanctuary, this praying room from the old times, from the king times, which was built up here. So but we can't take these things down. If it's collapsed, it has to go with it, because the 13th Dalai Lama teacher told to my grandfather, even if this palace is destroyed, we can't take anything, but it has to go within, with itself. So that's why it's very important to trying to preserve and trying to protect this heritage site. And also it's more than a historic, it's more like a religious perspective for the, you know, for the locals. Now, some of these statues are from the high incarnated lamas who were born here in this palace itself. So if I tell some names are like the 6th Ngari Rinpoche. Now the younger brother Dalai Lama, he's the 14th reincarnation of of the Ngari Rinpoche. His 6th incarnation was from here. The head Lama of Spituk Monastery, the 18th incarnation of Spituk Monastery, Kushok Bakul Rinpoche, was from here. So they're like the 8th disciple of Tsongkhapa. So they were also from here. So there has been like a lot of monks and a lot of lamas, a lot of rinpoches has been born here. So it's become like a more like a religious perspective for the local people, not only from Zanskar but from anywhere, from, you know, Laos, Piti or Leh or anywhere. They come up here because of those religious you know, aspects as well. And for the other, it's the historic is like something very important, because in the whole Zanskar region, this is the only palace which has been survived. But the Padum Palace, they restored it, but it not in a very nice way. But like we are trying to preserve it into the, you know, the old, with the natural materials, what has been built before, not using even a percentage of cement and everything. Now what we are doing as what I'm doing as a family, as a lineage up here, what as a youngsters of the coming generation, so I'm trying to preserve it. You know, since 16th century it has never been used. So what I'm doing is like I want to make kind of like a community space and invite the, you know, the local people, the local community, to somehow like we can organize art workshops, we can organize culture show up here, because there are like a lot of people, a lot of tourists coming up here. So there are like a lot of, you know, experts what we can do up here in this palace. So with that one we can generate some small amount of money, and then we can reuse those monies into restoration. Even the locals can benefit from it, they can get some employment, they can bring their art crafts and everything up here, and they can sell it as well to the tourists up here. So it can become like a very community, you know, space as well. You know, the stones are like what we found during the restoration. So I think like at that time, like the stones might have been like in several places by the staircase or somewhere, but by the time like it, you know, it fall down, it was never been used since 16th century. So no one care about like the stone and the muds and everything with the snow, and you can't see anything on this one. So while restoring, we found this one in a pretty like mud where everything. We tried to clean it, we saw some lines and everything. Then we thought like, okay, there is some painting. So we tried to clean it, not fully. So these are the ones, every stones what we found during the restoration. So this is, I think like we presume it's half broken. So it presume like it's Aulukta Shoda. This is, I think this is Tsongkhapa. And this is, I think like it's, we can't see it properly. And this is Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava.